Hi, guys. Welcome to Essential Elements. I am Offset Aminette, Indigo Blue Moon, and we're here today to talk about the difference between shrines and altars. So let's dig in. First, we're going to talk about altars. Altars is an amazing place that you can go and honor. We do not worship and honor your ancestors, your deities, anyone you work with. You want to set up an altar to honor them. The very first level, of course, are your ancestors, those ones that are closest to you, that has transitioned, that may give you some help in the etherical world. Altars have been a part of history since the beginning. All type of altars have been set up. I remember one time being visiting Costa Maya, a beautiful place in Mexico where there's a lot of indigenous that practice ritualistic ancient arts. And they had an altar set up. I was on a cruise ship. Soon as I got off the cruise ship, they were in their ancient masks and their tribal regalias, and they had an altar set up right there on the ground. You go into nail shops, you see altars set up. And for those Christians, on Sunday morning, you're walking down and paying your tithes at the what? Altar. So altar has been a part of spirituality and religion for eons and eons. It is great if you can have an altar set up in your home. An altar is a place you're going to do spiritual work. You're going to do casting. You're going to bring in things. This is where you have your candles, your incense, and your waters. And guys, I have another video on exactly how to set up an altar if you need to set up an altar. But I have a video on how to set up an altar on this YouTube station as well. So you can go back and look at those other videos. But an altar is going to be a place where you give water. You honor your ancestors by giving water. You can give coffee. They love rum. You can give rum, flowers, candy, all types of gifts. You want to honor your ancestors with an altar. You want to keep incense up. It's going to be where you're going to be doing most of your spiritual practices at. So if you're working on harnessing energy for a certain task, you want to do this work at your altar. If you're working on any type of spell work, if you're creating a love spell or money magic spell, whatever, an abundance spell, you want to do the work at your altar. Some altars are stationary and they're used only when they're needed. And sometimes your altar can be lit the entire time in your home. I personally love to have my altars lit. I have 3 of them. I have an altar for healing. I have an altar for spiritual work. And then I have an altar to honor a certain deity. So you can have altars, like if you work with Oshun, you can just have an Oshun altar. If you work with Santa Muerte, you can have a Santa Muerte altar. If you work with Ogun, you can have an Ogun altar. So an altar does not have to be predestined, or just go with your intuition of what you want to put and what should go on your altar. But an altar is generally where you're going to do most of your work. You want to always keep your altar clean. You want to always keep your altar supplied with fresh charged water. You want to charge your water because we know water has eons in it and they carry messages very well. So you always want to keep your water charged. You always want to keep your altar clean, smelling good, and you don't want to leave any food on your altar more than 2 or 3 days. After 2 or 3 days, it is done with. A lot of times, if I'm cooking a really big, amazing meal, I like to get a plate. And I have this plate just for my ancestors. I like to get a plate of food, of their favorite foods, and just set it on my altar in honor of them. And it's smelling good on the altar, and the altar is looking amazing. Use your altar any way you want to. Use your altar. Use your altar for calling things to you, for manifestations. I put cash on my altar. coins on my altar. It's where you're gonna do your work. So altars are extremely important. And yes, you can have more than one. I have a health altar. I have an altar that I go to and work with when I'm trying to bring about certain health results, or if I'm trying to eat a certain way, or if I'm trying to do anything that's pertaining to my health. I have an altar that I go to just for health purposes, that's located in my bathroom. It's where I do my spiritual baths. It's where I get ready for my spiritual baths. And usually I'll ignite that altar while I'm working my spiritual baths. That one I don't ignite every day, but I do have one that is always lit most days. And I always work with, it's my general altar that I go to. So now let's talk about shrines. And just like altars, shrines have been with us since the beginning of time. Whenever there's a shrine, and let me tell you about the shrine of the Black Madonna. There's plenty of shrines in Sri Lanka and Bali, in Asian religion and spirituality. They are the originators for the shrines. Shrines are a little bit different than altars. Shrines you do not do work on, but you honor. So you can have a shrine based off of one particular deity. One particular deity. You can have a shrine to a tribe of people. You can have an indigenous shrine. You can have a shrine for West Africa. You can have a shrine to certain deities and demons. It just depends on who you're working with and what energy are you housing for that shrine. And in shrines, yes, you put your statues up. You can put bones there. You can put garments there. You can put dirt there. You can put anything that represents whatever deity you are honoring on that shrine. The difference is you don't want to do any work on the shrine. You just want to have the shrine as a place that you come and honor. So you may want to add some beads. You can also add liquor to that shrine. Most times, whatever deity you're working with will suggest to you what they want. You place your offerings on the shrine. A lot of times when you're dealing with ancestors and deities, you always know they're going to want alcohol, they're going to want tobacco, sometimes they want marijuana. It just depends on who you're dealing with. They love fruits. This is why a lot of times, again, when you go to the nail shop, you see fruits or sweets that's at the nail shop on their altar or shrine. Just the only difference again with the shrine is that you're not going to do any work. This is where you just gonna honor. This is where you're gonna ask for things. This is where you're gonna just make that connection, that one-on-one. This is where you set up your protection. This is where you house whatever is protecting you, whatever culture you have tapped into for protection. This is the shrine is where you're going to get your biggest results from. Again, an altar is a working platform, and a shrine is where you're just going to harness energy, call on deities or honor deities. You're going to sacrifice and give them whatever they need on that shrine. I hope this has been amazing for you, and I hope this has been some clarity and understanding of the difference between shrines and altars, because there is a huge difference. Again, a lot of times shrines will have, you could have bones in shrines. Someone's passed away and you want to put their shrine up in your home, or ashes when they've been cremated. You can take the ashes and make that into a shrine. You can put candles on your shrine as well. You can light your shrine up. You can put alcohol on your shrine. A shrine is just to honor your shrine. So even when you get into masonry, as you become a mason, as you level up, you become a shriner, with the sword and the star, which indicates a higher level of understanding, a higher level of communication. So you always want to work with your shrine, and you always want to have your shrine as a place of honoring. as a place of saying thank you. So you can have a shrine in your home and you can have an altar in your home. You can just have a shrine in your home, or you can just have an altar, or you can have both. It's really up to you. So don't get too constricted. Again, when you're working with altars and powers, you want to make sure you have the four elements in there: water, fire, air, and earth. You always want to have those four elements. You create the fifth, which is ether. So you always want to create that, because that altar is a working altar. You're in there working. You're working your magic. You're doing things. You're harnessing things. You're bringing things to you. But in a shrine, that is a more of a place where you go and you just honor and you're thankful and you're grateful and you're showing gratitude. So those are the difference. And then again, in the shrine, you want to also make it a place for your protected deity, whoever's protecting your energy, whoever is guiding you and protecting you, whether it's the jaguar, whether it is an animal, whether it's a deity, whether it's a demon, whatever. Your shrine is going to be so much bigger, and a place for you to come to just to say thank you, a place for you to come to offer your offerings, and such. Volcanoes can be shrines. There's many of the Mayans and the Aztecs who set shrines up at volcanoes. So, like I said, your shrine can be indoors, your shrine can be outside. It's what you put into your shrine and what deities you're working with. I have a West African shrine that's dedicated to the Republic of Congo, because that is my lineage. So I have some Congo deities on that shrine who protects me and guides and really just watches out for me. So you always want to make sure that you honor your shrines, and you always want to pay back. Guys, I hope this has been very informative for you for the difference in shrines and altars. And if you want more information on altars, there is another video I have in here that's for altars, and it teaches you how to set up your altars, what you can have on your altars, what altars are used for, and what you should not have on your altars. Guys, I hope this works for you. Have an amazing day, because I am.